Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5:30.
If Americans anywhere are threatened, we have all of those targets already fully identified, and I am ready and prepared to take whatever action is necessary. And that in particular refers to Iran.
We're all waiting to find out what's going to happen between the U.S. and Iran after a U.S. airstrike killed Iran's top military commander. The Trump administration says it had to act to prevent an imminent attack on Americans. The big question, how will Iran respond now? Reporter Ellison Barr is in Washington, D.C. with the very latest.
3,500 more American soldiers are heading to the Middle East, bringing the total increase to 4,000 this week alone, amid escalating tensions with Iran. Protests in the streets of Tehran after a U.S. drone strike last night killed Iran's top military commander, Qasem Soleimani, at the Baghdad airport in Iraq.
President Trump's decision to remove Qasem Soleimani from the battlefield saved American lives. There's no doubt about that.
President Trump tweeting Soleimani has killed or badly wounded thousands of Americans and was plotting to kill many more.
We took action last night to stop a war. We did not take action to start a war.
Democrats agree Soleimani was a serious threat, but they question how the strike was carried out without notifying or consulting Congress.
What we cannot accept is a march to an unauthorized war.
And whether it could further escalate the violence.
This is the equivalent of the Iranians assassinating the U.S. Secretary of Defense. I do not believe the administration has gamed out how very badly this could go for the U.S. and our interests.
Iran's supreme leader has vowed forceful revenge.
Our worldwide forces, so everything from Western Afghanistan through the Middle East to Europe, to Asia, all of those will be potential targets.
The mayor of New York saying the city is now on heightened terror alert. So are embassies throughout the Middle East. And the U.S. is urging all Americans to immediately leave Iraq, where earlier this week pro-Iranian demonstrators held violent protests at the U.S. Embassy compound.
Officials say the stock market took a hit today, and experts warn Iran could retaliate with a crippling cyber attack. Joe Biden says the U.S. could be on the brink of a major new conflict in the Middle East, even claiming global stability could be at risk. He expressed skepticism that President Trump has thought through the domino effects of the Soleimani killing and is unprepared to deal with a very dangerous situation.
Unfortunately, nothing we have seen from this administration over the past 3 years suggests that they are prepared to deal with the very real risks we now confront. And there's no doubt the risks are greater today because of the actions Donald Trump has taken.
Biden added that he hoped the president is paying attention to military commanders in his decision-making. Oil prices are up 4% on news out of Iraq. Iran has promised to retaliate and could attack oil fields in Saudi Arabia. The escalating tensions in the Middle East could spell higher prices at gas stations in the coming weeks. AAA says the national average for a price of regular gasoline stands at $2.58 a gallon. That's 3 cents higher than a week ago. It's up an average 33 cents from a year ago. Today's snow isn't so much the issue, it's the slippery conditions that continue to exist up and down the valley as a result. So whether you're out walking or driving, please take it easy. Nathan is here with your no-wait weather planner for Friday night. Nathan?
Yeah, Mike, we did see some slippery roadways earlier today with just a light accumulation of snowfall, but again, just enough to make for some traction issues for those commuters, especially south of 94 this morning. Still seeing some clouds lingering in our Minnesota neighborhoods and still some light snow reported in Thief River Falls at this hour. And we do have the main brunt of that system, though, the one that dropped more snow in the Southern Valley, moving through Des Moines at this hour. So you can see it's not very organized, but it was again enough to cause some roadway issues for today. Notice up toward Bismarck and Williston, things are quiet. I do expect things to stay quiet for us as we go through this evening and even through our the day on our Saturday as well. It's not till Sunday we do have a shakeup on the way. Temperatures as we speak, 16 this hour in Wadena, 26 in Fargo, 24 in Grand Forks. I do expect the temperatures to drop pretty quickly this evening once those clear skies, especially out west where those clear skies are a bit more prominent. Here in Fargo, I do expect temperatures down to near 20 with those westerly winds around 10 miles per hour in Fargo. For Grand Forks, I expect middle teens by midnight tonight, so if you are heading out, especially in the Northern Valley, make sure to bundle up out there. But of course, Mike, we will talk about the weekend and talk about that Sunday shakeup we've been watching very closely, and then talk about an Arctic air mass on the way. I'll have the details on that coming up in a couple minutes.
All right, thanks, Nathan.
Yeah.
Assault and DUI charges are expected against the man who police say tried to run over an officer and a restaurant employee. It happened at Perkins in South Fargo about 3 o'clock this morning when employees say this 21-year-old man was assaulting other people at the restaurant. When authorities arrived, he got in his car and drove at an officer and the restaurant employee. He was eventually arrested. No one was seriously hurt. This week's Valley's Most Wanted is 34-year-old Ryan Forney, who is wanted for failure to register as a sex offender. If you see him, call law enforcement if you have any information on his whereabouts. There's another phone scam in our area. Authorities this time are from Polk County alerting us to a female caller who says that she's with Essentia Health in Detroit Lakes and calling from the phone number 218-314-7297. The phone was then given to a male who started asking the victim for her name, date of birth, and last 4 digits of her Social Security number. When the victim asked what they needed the information for, the caller hung up. If you do call the number back, it's tied to a call board that directs calls for Essentia Health in Detroit Lakes. However, the call board does not make calls from that number. Investigators still aren't sure what exactly happened in East Grand Forks last night. Our thanks to those of you who captured videos like the one you see behind me. The explosion there lit up the sky. The equipment malfunction also left hundreds of homes without power for almost 2 hours. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley talked with neighbors today who say it's a night they won't soon forget.
When the lights went out in Mia Smith's room Thursday night, she says she thought it was just a prank.
All of a sudden I realized the whole entire apartment complex is out. Everybody is out. There's no street lights on, the garage lights aren't on or anything like that.
And a look out her window showed just how serious trouble was brewing right down the road.
Saw like everything being engulfed in flames down that way. And we were just all looking outside and we were like, what the heck is that? We didn't know if it was a beat plan, if it was something else.
And as hundreds of others in East Grand Forks peered out their windows,
that can't be good.
What looked like northern lights danced in the sky.
We were just scared. We were like, honestly, I believe in like aliens and stuff like that. So it was like, oh my gosh, we're being attacked. Like, what is going on?
EGF Water and Light says power was restored shortly after 11 Thursday night. General Manager Keith Mickleseth saying he doesn't remember anything like this ever happening.
We may never know exactly what happened. I mean, it was raining, things like that.
Mickleseth says thankfully no one was hurt in the incident, adding crews were on scene throughout the day assessing damage and costs and hopefully will determine what caused the fiery wreck by the end of the weekend.
I think we've got her figured out. We spent the whole morning talking about it. Minnesota Power was gracious enough to come out right away and we're talking about it and we're going to get going and fix it as soon as possible.
In East Grand Forks, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Mickleseth says that the substation's power is currently off. It won't be turned on again until the unit is completely fixed. A company in Grand Forks County is now being cited by the federal government after an employee died in a grain bin. It happened last year on July 3rd in our villa when 58-year-old Kevin John Anderson was buried under approximately 15 feet of corn while cleaning the grain bin. Officials say that the U.S. Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration is holding Columbia Grain International LLC responsible for the death. The company also faces up to $190,000 in proposed penalties. Rescue crews spent approximately 2 hours trying to find him. Health officials in North Dakota say that there's been a sharp increase in influenza activity this season. This season, there have already been 1,989 identified cases of the flu, mostly for people under 10 years old. At the same time last year, there were only 750 cases. Officials are encouraging people to get the flu vaccine to help protect themselves from the sickness. In North Dakota, only 47% of kids aged 6 months to 4 years are currently vaccinated. Dive teams were needed to get a tractor out of the water on Detroit lakes today. We're going to show you a picture of it. You can see just the back end of the tractor sticking out of the water. Authorities say it fell through yesterday while people were trying to clear a path for a snowmobile event this weekend. No one was on the tractor when it went through. It's definitely a reminder to be safe out on the ice. This is going to be a busy weekend for NDSU Bison fans that are heading to Texas next week. They'll be planning for the fun that has been going on in Frisco for years. We're gearing up as well. Our crews will be touching down in Texas next Wednesday with our live coverage to begin that night. It all leads up to our 90-minute pregame show that starts at 9:30 Saturday morning on January 11th. You're going to hear from the experts as well as former Bison players and fans. That's 9:30 Saturday morning, January 11th on KVLY.